bro. We got to talk about this, man. All of these injuries, and this time is to Knuckles himself, David Montgomery. And just we keep asking the question, can the Detroit Lions overcome? And all season they have, but is enough, is there a point where the cup is just filled up too much? But what up, though? Cavassier Chase is in the building. How you feeling, brother?
Hey, I'm doing all right, man. I'm feeling okay. Obviously the injuries are tough to swallow, but I do want to say quickly shout out to a couple friends of mine, Jocelyn and Ben. They just got engaged last night, so it's kind of lightening up my mood. A couple friends from community college.
Shout out.
A couple of University of Michigan grads as well. So just want to
what? You have U of M friends?
Yeah.
Wow.
All right,
Wow.
Oh man. You know what? Let's jump into this David Montgomery conversation here. He's going to undergo season-ending knee surgery. Another blow, and this time to one of the star attractions. You could overcome, so far to this point, a lot of these injuries, but now in just one game, you're talking about Carlton Davis, Aleem McNeil, and David Montgomery. How do they overcome, KG?
I don't know, man. Yesterday,
sorry to load you up the question.
No, you good. But I mean, yesterday I was kind of on my Tyrese meme shit. Like, what more do you want from me? Like, what more do you have to take from this team, man? It just don't seem like the football gods is really shining on us right now. But now that I had some time to sleep on it, and listen, I'm not going to come here today and try to police anybody's feelings in regards to whether you think the future of this Lions team is in question. I mean, we got to just be real about the situation. I haven't seen an injury situation, in particular with the Lions, this bad ever in all my years of watching this team.
I've never seen this ever with any
It's
team.
crazy. And I said this yesterday. It's getting to a point where, okay, you had a lot of players on the injured list. I think around like 13 to 14 players that were on the injured list, and the rest were on IR. Now the IR side is starting to fill up a lot. So, I mean, at this point, all you can do is just lean on your coaching staff. That's what's gotten you this far, man. You're going to have to lean on Dan Campbell. You're going to have to lean on Ben Johnson. You're going to have to lean on Aaron Glenn and even, Terrell Williams. Everybody has to pitch in at this point because it's going to take all hands on deck. This shit is not getting any easier as we continue to march ahead, towards hopefully a number one seed and trying to get to a Super Bowl. So I'm at the point now where do I feel like they can still get to a Super Bowl? Absolutely, without a doubt in my mind. Can they win the Super Bowl? That's a different conversation. But the Lions, the NFC, this is a conference that we've controlled for most of the year. And when you look at the playoffs, most of the teams that are in, we have faced and beaten at this point, all besides the Eagles. So I think it's imperative to go get that number one seed at this point. Before it was, let's just line them up wherever the cards fall. That's where I'll be. But at this point, I feel like it's absolutely imperative to get that number one seed because that week of rest could prove to be everything for this Detroit Lions
Especially
team.
when you talk about the clock being started on one Mr. Ifeatu Melifonwu as well. So they do have some more reinforcements. And I know we were excited about the ones that were on the way back this past game, but what you realize is full participant in practice doesn't mean that they're 100% healthy. That just means that they were able to get through the practice. And Aleem McNeil, he was hobbled the week before, and we see that this game, it was basically the straw that broke the camel's back there. Yeah. But when I saw what the Lions did, when you talk about the coaches being able to scheme things up to try and make up some of this difference, at least I'm very glad that we have the coaches that we do have, the coordinators and the position coaches. We talk so much about them. And when Aleem went out, when Carlton Davis went out, did the Lions falter or did the offense literally pick up the defense the way that we believe they could? And that's the thing. I believe that as you're moving forward, you have to shift what you're going to do. Before, you had the opportunity to call a more balanced game plan because you had the horses. You had David Montgomery to be able to control more of that time of possession. But now I believe you just have to go out there. You have to play a little bit different. If Jared Goff is the guy that you can put the game in his arm, because we're not talking about a healthy Lions team right now. We're not talking about a team that only has lost Aiden Hutchinson, and we're like, oh my gosh, how are they going to overcome that? We're not talking about the squad that lost Aiden Hutchinson down for. We're talking about the squad that has been completely decimated in a way that I just can't remember. I don't remember this happening to another contender that people believe, you know what, they have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. But here we are. That offensive side of the ball, it's been the most healthy unit all season. Obviously, Taylor Decker is a little hobbled. And you lose David Montgomery, which is huge. You talk about a surefire 4 or 5 yards per carry. and he's knocking the block off of the freaking defensive line as well. Those things matter as the game goes on, and we're talking about weakening it up. So I do want to see them, though. This offensive side of the ball is still elite. It's still the most healthy aspect of it. We did see them because David Montgomery, he still only had 5 carries. So we saw this Lions team, after they caught their stride, still hang with the Buffalo Bills. They still hung for them, stride for stride, touchdown for touchdown. And that's where I want to see Ben Johnson be able to make a difference. I do have faith in Aaron Glenn because we've seen him do this last year, but he did have the benefit of Aiden Hutchinson.
No, absolutely. And the greatest strength of this Lions team is the culture. It is that grit culture. And I know it's cliche. I know we keep saying it, oh, grit, grit, grit. They'll figure it out. But you just got to look at the product they put on the field this year. A big part of this is the Lions culture and their resolve and how they don't just hit the mat. They always get up, man. So you got to be able to lean on that in times like this because, like I said, nobody's coming to save the Detroit Lions. There is nobody you can sign at this point in the season that is going to come in and be a godsend for you. Like, we are literally relying on our some of our starters, a lot of our bench, and a lot of our practice squad at this point. So I do agree with what you said. We do need to get a little bit more aggressive offensively and defensively. Defensively, we might have to see a little bit what we saw last year, going into the NFC Championship game, and when AG has to dial up the blitz a lot more. He's going to have to find ways to scheme and disguise these blitzes and be able to send safeties and linebackers to provide extra pass rush, because one thing you cannot do, especially in a playoff situation, is just let quarterbacks eat you up. So I do agree with that. And also offensively, as long as you got Jared Goff offensively, I feel like we'll be fine. We still have Jahmyr Gibbs. Hopefully nothing happens to him. I mean, wrap everybody in bubble wrap at this point, but you still have Jahmyr Gibbs. You have Isaiah Ivaki, who a lot of us had faith in, once he was drafted here. He's shown some flashes, but now this is a point where this team absolutely needs you, so you have to step up. They have Craig Reynolds as well, somebody that we've seen make plays for this team, especially over the last year, heading into that NFC Championship. So you got to lean on your guys. This is what you have these guys on the roster for. The Lions do not have a choice. We are in too deep at this point. You got to figure it out.
And I believe they can. Because the offensive line, I believe in this offensive line. I believe that even average quarterbacks, running backs are going to look a little bit better. A little less than average are going to look a little better. And those good running backs are going to have a field day. And that's what we see with a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, who this season moved into that position where he's getting 4, 5, 6 yards a carry. So from that perspective, I don't believe the Lions are going to be hurting. Actually, you have a little bit more opportunity for that home run ability and capability with Jahmyr Gibbs, but you lose that kind of sure-minded knowing we're punching you in the mouth with David Montgomery, which was just awesome. And seeing him get those longer touchdown runs, the blocks, because that's one thing that I believe, protections. He is, in my opinion, the better blocker between he and Jahmyr Gibbs. Not that Jahmyr Gibbs cannot handle it.
No, absolutely.
But I believe in those types of protection plays, you probably see a guy like a Craig Reynolds back there. So that's where hearing you talk about what we do have, understanding the coordinators we do have, understanding that when Craig Reynolds has gotten his opportunities, he's looked pretty decent back there through the years. That's the reason why he's still here.
He can give you a lot of what Monty gives you right now. Exactly. I'm not saying he's David Montgomery by any stretch, but he can give you a lot of what he does.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So if you still have Jahmyr Gibbs, who's proven he can run between the tackles, how instrumental has that been, seeing him run between the tackles and get you 6 and 7 yards a carry?
He's a tough back. Make no mistake.
Yeah, and that's
you're going to have to lean on him more. Yeah. I mean, just real. Not to say he needs to be a workhorse back, but a lot of those, plays where he would get out of the backfield, you need to pass some of those to Vaki now. And then you need to have Jahmyr Gibbs running between the tackles and kind of leading the way in terms of setting up your offense, because, I praise Monty up here. To me, he's the most important running back to what the Lions offense wants to do. He sets everything up for Gibbs to be able to go in there and eat, during a second drive or a second quarter in which he gets most of the carries. So it's going to be imperative on Jahmyr Gibbs to don't shy away from running through the tackles, because you still need to provide that presence. And as long as we have the best offensive line in football, which I still believe we have, I think we can still simulate that and be fine.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, we still have good players. It's not like we're sitting here saying, hey, how are we going to scheme up for running back average player? Like, it's Jahmyr Gibbs.
Exactly.
And when you know now what you have to scheme for, I believe that gives them a better opportunity to have a game plan for the personnel they have. I don't know how you scheme for the game, for the personnel that they wound up with. No David Montgomery, no Carlton Davis, no Lee McNeil. At that point in time, it's just, hey guys, let's make something work. Obviously, these guys are going to have different packages they can bring to the table, but there's a reason why they do prepare for each and every game and why they have specific personnel. Now they're getting to the point where they're going to have to scheme based on which is what they have left, which is something that I saw Aaron Glenn do very, very well last year and do very, very well this year, to the tune of us seeing this defense be elite. Now, they've given up 79 points in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They got to get that under control, but some of that's also going to have to do with who they played. The reason why that's important, though, is because when you're in the playoffs, those are the teams you're going to be playing. Those teams that can put up the points in a hurry with some pretty special quarterbacks. And that's where I want to see the defense get a little bit more aggressive. I know that as they get healthy, they're going to get some more reinforcements. That's where, to your point, and everyone else's point who knows this, you got to get that first round bye if you can. I believe that they have what it takes to get this thing done. I mean, really do.
How do you not at this point? And I do understand the injuries are a real thing, because how many more blows can this team really take? We still talking about another 3 weeks left in the regular season. We ain't even got to the playoffs yet. So you really can't afford any more injuries, but we got to just be able to lean on what has gotten us here to this point. And that's been Dan Campbell, making the right decisions at the right time. That's been Ben Johnson dialing it up. It's been AG supplementing whatever the hell he got on defense. Because we forget, the Lions defense has been banged up ever since Hutch went down. Like, we have really had no rest on the defensive end of this. I know Monty is a blow, of course, because that's one of your major pieces on offense. But as long as the offense can step up, and I feel like a lot more games are going to be predicated on the offense being able to step up and outscore teams, as long as we can get a little bit of that and AG can just find some way to provide a pass rush, then, like I said, I have no doubt in my mind that the Lions are still a Super Bowl loading team. Now, can they win it is a whole different conversation, but getting there, I see the path. I do.
Yeah, definitely. And you want to be able to get there because anything can happen. We've seen that. As well as, though, how you set yourself up for the future when you get some of these people healthy going into next year. But right now, they're going to finish business.